Okay, hi guys, welcome to my lesson 11 RJ question for S264. We'll be going through the same question as the previous week. We'll be talking about what are three things that I can learn from my peer coaches and apply them to my own ESE. So the first thing will be how I engage my players through the not decision making, but the drills that are being carried out during the practice session. So the peer coach that we're looking at will be ISIS. This is because we are planning a TGFU lesson, which is essentially allowing our players to have a better understanding of how the game is played. So, look and understanding how the game is played and like the tactical decisions that are supposed to be made, right? So, what ISIS did would be that her drill allowed for her players to come up with to be always thinking on the spot how they want to pass. She was playing the 12 captain's board and her lesson objectives was about faking, so we had to learn how to fake as such. And faking is always like from moving one side to another to fake the opponents. So what she did would be that she kind of had a Y drill where okay, give me a second. Okay, if you can see, this player here will be able to run up, and then the passer here will have to decide whether she wants to fake to be able to pass to this player or that player. So then that's when she will start thinking like, okay, as the passer, I want to fake to maybe the right, so I have to move to the left first to make the defender think that I'm passing to the left and before I pass to the right. So another progression that she actually did for this drill would be that she allowed the defender that's running up first to decide to go in whichever direction they wanted to. So for example, let's say that okay, this is a bit hard. Okay, let's say that I have a player here and the defender is running up towards this side, and she has two players over here that she can pass to, but the defender is running to this side. So what the fake can be done in this situation would be that the player can fake like she's gonna pass to this side, but instead fake out, and then once the defender has moved to this side to block this pass, she will pass to this side. So this is a fake drill that she did, in which I want to be able to apply to my own ESE. This is because for my drill, my lesson plan was to be able to for them to be able to move into open space. But the thing was that what I did would be just to setting a drill that would allow them to move into open space, but it's a drill where they are not thinking and just maybe following the process. So my drill will be something like this, as you can see, where the first player will just have to run down followed by a burst down. So what I did during this session would be that during the second drill I only focused on doing on one side. So the players just kept constantly going in this direction over and over again, and maybe they weren't being engaged like mentally about how they want to pass or like how they want to move. So I will have to change up this drill so that it allows my players to think about where they want to move so that they can move to the open space. Maybe I can adopt the Y shape as well so that my players can decide, maybe for example, if they're going in a Y shape, maybe the first person that's running can pop up for a bit first, then burst to maybe either the left or the right side, and then the passer at the back here will have to pass down to the person that's running. Maybe something like that. I'll still come up with it over the next few lessons and then perfect it, so that by the time it comes to the ESE, my drills will allow my players to be engaged both physically and mentally, making them think cognitively about how the drill should be carried out. Okay, so now I'll be moving on to the second part, which would be about how I carry out my Q&A session. Okay, so my Q&A session was overall okay at best, and this is because one thing that I want to learn will be from Suzairi and how he had shaped his Q&A session, so there will be more specifically catered to what he'll be learning during the session. This is because what he did will be that even though he gave us a good questions to allow us to find out the basics of what we are learning for his lesson today, he even prompted us even more so that we'll be able to go further in and more specifically on what we'll be doing on So at first, we said that it was about defending, cause it's about intercepting. So after that, he started to prompt us further about how we can intercept and when to do it and like how we should position ourselves. So these are like the specific things that we learned during his coaching session as during the practice session and the game two. So I feel like that was a nice transition on from Q&A towards practice and then game two. So this is something that I want to take on because what I did today will be only once I heard from the words were such as like moving to open space and passing, that's when I kind of stopped my Q&A session. So by implementing this, I'll be able to further allow them to think like, okay, you guys are moving to open space, but where exactly can you move to open space, or like how exactly can you move to these open spaces? So such as maybe I want to hear words such as like bursting to open spaces, or maybe faking into open spaces. So something like that where it will be based on what I want to teach them for the training session. If it's like moving to open space, so what type of how to moving to open space. So by doing that, my Q&A session transitioning to the practice and my game 2 will be more smoothly as well. Okay, so one last thing that I want to take away from his will be from Kester, and what he did well was being responsive and flexible to the situation at hand. This was because when I was playing his volleyball game in the game 2, I was having some difficulty digging out the ball that was being sent at first from the opponents. So what he did after seeing that was that he allowed me to only me to be able to catch that first ball. So since he could see that I was having a problem like digging out the ball, he allowed actually a regression so that I'll be able to so that his whole game will be smoother and like have a good feel to it rather than having to stop the game constantly because I'm not able to dig out the ball. So what I could have actually implemented this into my lesson today was because during my game 2 I saw that Kester and Kenji were having some difficulties like going against Isis and Suzari, who were better at the game at the sports of floorball. So what I could have done in this situation by being responsive and flexible would be that I would pause the game and swap around the teams. This would be so that both teams will have like equal playing level, in the sense that their skill levels are around the same. So this will allow them for have a fair match that everyone can learn from one another, since I'll also be calling freeze plays and then they can start learning from there. Yeah, so those are 3 things that I want to learn from my peer coaches today, and thank you for coming to my Q&A RJ session.